alternative for organics.
There you
go. That's one.
It's just food waste.
It is a little.
I'm more about.
Very.
Right.
generous.
Good deal.
We actually have some ideas, but might drop our price tag.
Perfect.
It'd be nice to have good.
Right.
No, to it.
Toronto.
So I am home.
They doing good.
So, no, even.
Got a fantastic equipment and, gonna next weekend.
You're gonna like-
Mostly take care of my stuff.
It'll be.
Did you?
Your stuff's just.
Yeah.
All right, we are at 2 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order since we've got a quorum and just got everybody here and get this rolling. Just right off the bat, my apologies, I am gonna have to duck out at about 2:45 today. I gotta go catch a flight, but Jeff has agreed to pick up for me with whatever's left of our agenda at that point. So try and get through as much of this as we can, but then I'm gonna have to excuse myself. We'll start off with introductions. I'm Tyler Palmer, Public Works Director and Deputy City Administrator for the City of Moscow and City of Moscow Staff Representative to PBAC. And let's go counterclockwise, Paul.
Paul Schimmel, Latah County Representative.
Amy McCall, concerned citizen.
Chad Wetzel, Whitman County District 3 Commissioner.
Mark Story, Whitman County, other Whitman County.
Rusty Vineyard, Uido Facilities.
Sean Wells, City of Pullman Public Works Director. Jeff Flanagan, WSU Facilities Services.
And I'm Mike Pompel with PBAC.
All right, let's jump to the back here.
Hi, I'm Rupal Johnny. I'm a hydrogeologist with Alta.
Great, welcome.
David Hall, longtime Latah County resident.
Mr. Hall.
Max Weinrenner, I work over at Police Line Trust.
Great, thanks, Max. We're gonna jump online now and start with Counselor Weller,
Nathan Weller, Pullman City Council.
Commissioner Lamar,
Tom Lamar, Latah County Commissioner.
Counselor Lewis,
Yeah, I'm Haley Lewis. I'm Moscow City Council's rep and I am en route from Pullman to PBAC. So I'll see you guys soon.
all right, see you in a minute. Kara,
Kara Haley, City of Pullman.
Lana,
University of Idaho, research.
great, thank you. Steve,
Not playing right now.
Steve, we can't hear you, but that's Steve Robichon. Steve's our technical advisor for the Pollution-Based Aquifer Committee. Patrick,
Yeah, Patrick Cabbage, Washington State Department of Ecology.
thanks for joining us, Patrick. Aaron,
Hi, Erin Gasani, Water Conservation Project Coordinator, PBAC.
great, and Scott.
Scott King, HDR Engineering.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
One more coming behind you.
Oh, hey,
Okay, good. Good afternoon, Jake Gardner with Governor Little's office.
Jake, welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. Well, appreciate everybody being here for the PBAC May meeting. We got several important items on the agenda today, so it's an exciting meeting. But we got to start with the non-exciting stuff, which is the approval of our April 17th meeting minutes.
And put both of them in there together because we had a nice second.
Oh, yeah, we did have a May 2nd out of session meeting. So yeah, so April 17th and May 2nd meeting minutes.
Move that we approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second?
Do those individually?
Meet you.
Do you guys need to do them individually? I don't know how Washington goes.
We typically do, but.
All right, let's go individually then. Let's start with April 17th. Motion still, April 17th? Second still? Oh, we got a second still. Any comments, questions? Let's go for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the April 17th minutes stand approved. May 2nd meeting.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by the Commissioner,
Second.
second by Jeff. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? All right, meetings stand approved for April 17th and May 2nd meeting minutes. Next item on our agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. This is when we would entertain any comments for anything that we don't have currently pending in front of the committee in this meeting. All right, hearing none, we are going to move on to our unfinished business, number 4 on your agenda. The first item is the update on the water conservation coordinator status. This was necessitated by the termination of funding for the AmeriCorps position. The AmeriCorps has been the mechanism through which we've had that position in place. And as the committee is aware, on April 27th, we were notified that the program had been terminated at the federal level effective April 25th. So PBAC conducted the special meeting on May 2nd, which was to consider how we wanted to move forward with that position. At that meeting, it was decided that we would create a University of Idaho position so that we could complete our commitment to that program and complete with our commitments that we have throughout the community for our conservation efforts. Big thanks to Mike and to Rusty for helping facilitate getting that up and going so quickly. And so at that meeting, it was voted that we would continue that and that we would, at the same rate of pay, keep Erin on through the terms of the contract that she had. Mike, are there any other details that are germane to that conversation?
I've never seen a university do something in 5 days. So,
You just gotta know the right 5-day process.
That's right.
they have to do the process, but lots of folks actually jumped in and did everything immediately, and I really appreciate that. And I've told some of them, and there's folks I don't know. But also, we call that committee or that special meeting with very little advance notice, and that's on me because I was pushing it. I wanted to get it done, but I wanted to get that important step done. So it was kind of exceptional, and I hope we don't have to do that again.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone's support. And I know that Erin's very appreciative. She had a lot of steam going, a lot of things lined up, and just in the brief window, we had one cancellation that became rather visible in Genesee, I believe, at the library there. And so it was something that I know that the community and the people with whom we have worked for these water conservation efforts were grateful. And so, yeah, thanks everyone for their efforts on that. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this item? Okay. We will move right along then. The next item is the vote on technical advisor compensation adjustment. Just as a quick refresher, the technical advisor position was created in 2018. Since 2018, there has been zero adjustment to that number, the compensation for that position. We've held 2 sessions in which we discussed what the appropriate level of compensation for that position ought to be, based on comparable positions and the value that we're getting out of that information processing aspect in particular of that position, which is critical. This position also helps with our technical advisory committee. So we've, as a committee, we've greatly benefited from the institutional knowledge and the ability that Steve has and that he brings to bear on this issue and has for decades now. So we wanted to make an appropriate adjustment to that compensation level, and at the same time insert some redundancy into that process, into those processes, have a plan so that we are, as I think most everybody's aware, Steve is working part-time. He works remotely. He's living in Arizona. At some point, he may want to just fully retire and not have to do this anymore. And we want to make sure that we have a plan in place that allows for that and allows for a thoughtful transition. The continuity of our data set is really, really important, and making sure that we can continue to gather and process that information in a consistent way that gives us consistent information. So as part of this, we had a discussion about what that continuity would look like. Steve and I met and discussed what we might be able to do there, and generated a plan of attack that will include us getting a proposal from a consulting firm to have somebody sit in with Steve and go through a training on how that data set is processed, how the numbers are gathered and how they're processed. And then in addition, we will record those sessions so that we have a backup training video that will then demonstrate where the information is at, how it's processed, where it goes. So through that process, the proposal that came out of the executive session was to adjust that salary to $45 an hour, which is more in line with the type of work that's being done and the compensation for that type of work. There's a memo that Mike distributed along with the agenda, and it lays out the impact. the long and short of it is it takes us from about 10K a year. If you look at the historical average of what we've actually been paying Steve, to 22,376 is what that impact would have been had we had this salary in place. So we're looking at about a $12,000 impact based on historical use of his hours. At the maximum use of his hours, if he were to use the maximum allotted hours, that would go to 49,725. So the overall maximum potential budget implication is that 49,725.
Just to add on that a
I think
little
it's
bit.
59. But
You remember the minute was 49.
okay, I misremembered it.
Yeah.
So.
It's just if we, is he still considered like a TH employee? Is if he averages more than 20 hours a week for 5 months, he actually moves from a different classification. He moves from a T1 to T4, which the fringe rate is 10.1 on his current, and it would move up to 30.4.
Yeah, we will stay underneath
No, I mean,
that.
just for advisement is at that point, they can revisit Percy and that may impact current retirement, and then they do accrue time off. And so that's just some other things to consider if we decide to push up to the further end of that.
Well, the upper end was calculated at 20 hours.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was the upper of what might be.
Okay. Perfect.
Right.
And what I'm hearing from you, Rusty, is we need to assure that there isn't a 5-month period which averages over 20 hours.
Correct.
Okay, yep. Is there any questions or discussion about this? All right, I know we've kind of beat this to death. I really appreciate everyone's effort on this and appreciate Steve's patience with the process as well. With that,
Tyler, I do have one question. So
Yeah.
we're just with that 49 number is like, I don't want to call it worst case scenario, but like I appreciate modeling that, us having modeled the number to know what the potential impact could be if Steve went from consultant to more of a up to a full-time-ish hit to the budget. But like that's just for our context, right? We would still likely be budgeting for the 20.
That's just, that's for context. That's the maximum. There's a certain allotted amount that's been approved by the committee, which is part-time work. So this is a part-time position at 20 hours a week. And so that accounts for the 20 hours that potentially it could be. We've been on average less than half of that has been the
Right,
hours
okay.
that have been dedicated, Haley. I would
And so with
anticipate
the new rate potentially going up, if we needed to go up to the 20, that's what we are assuming is the most
that would be
realistic outcome.
Yeah, I think that the 23,376 represents more a historical average. We may see a slight uptick based on just the time for the training that we laid out for that
Okay.
redundancy, but I don't anticipate that going to that full 20 hours a week. It's a number we just haven't even come close to historically.
Copy. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, if there's no more questions, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
The $45 per hour. Yep.
So there's a motion on the table from Paul, a second from Chad to adjust the pay for the technical advisor to $45 per hour. I've got a motion, I've got a second. Any questions or comments before we go to the vote? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it.
And what pay period are you in? Is this beginning?
I'll send an email either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. So as soon as,
Same process, just need to get an EPAF.
I have to, yeah, sure. Well, I don't have to do
And
that.
it'll begin as soon as that is
Yeah.
processed.
Well,
You set a precedent at 5 days.
5 days, yeah. Yeah, you have so much social capital.
He's already employed, so it could actually probably take a half hour, so.
Yeah, but I'll get right on it.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, right.
Thank you all. I appreciate everyone's help with that and work on that. The next item on
Business days?
weekend. Yeah, we got a weekend coming up. The next item on the agenda is new business. We don't have anything slated for this item. I did want to mention that Sean had brought up, and I think it was a really good idea, that especially as we're shifting in a very much more public focused phase of this project, updating our formatting for our agenda to reflect closer to what like a city council or a county commission agenda might look like, with a descriptive blurb. Up to this point, we've really relied, and historically we've relied on just institutional knowledge, because all of us have this in our face and we know what we're talking about. And I don't think that Sean's point was well taken, that we're going to be public facing. We don't want to rely on that. We want to give enough description that somebody knows what we're doing in these meetings and use that agenda as a communication tool. And so we'll be, as you see agendas coming out, you'll see a new look to the agendas where we'll have a blurb that gives, that paragraph's worth of good contextual information, so people know what it is that we're working on. And that's appreciated. I think that's a really good thing for us to be doing.
I'm happy to help Mike too.
Yeah, and I think, as we have agendas, items, especially, if it comes through communication or through budget or through technical, providing that information, keep it in mind that Mike's gonna need to have accurate blurbs that he can include for our agenda items. All right, next item is presentations and discussions, which we have none today. And so I'm gonna move on to our subcommittee reports, starting with the Clearwater River study. A couple significant updates that I have for that. We do have I have the task order drafted with HDR. And that is scheduled to go to committee, and then city council will be on June 2nd. So the June 2nd council meeting is when it'll go to our city council for approval. Just as a quick reminder to everybody, that project is a project that the Idaho Division of Water, or the Idaho Water Resource Board allocated $182,500 toward that effort. With PBAC putting forward the remaining funds necessary to get through the scope of work. The city of Moscow is administering that project. And so we will be working with the Idaho Water Resource Board and submit for refunds. And so we'll pay and then submit for refunds from the Idaho Water Resource Board. I've had conversations with the mayor and city leadership with the city of Moscow, and the city is comfortable entering into the task order and getting the work started, as long as with a vote from PBAC saying, yes, we'll enter into a contract for the funds. And so, because we know that, the university processes can take a little bit longer, and we still got to figure out if they are going to want to transfer a lump sum to the city, and then we pay out of that lump sum budget item and then transfer whatever is remaining back to the PBAC funds, or if they want to do a reimbursement where, similar to the Idaho Water Resource Board, I pay it out of city of Moscow funds and then we submit invoices for reimbursement. We're good either way. The city of Moscow, like, I've got some money that will be able to float through with my budget. And so either way that lands is fine. What I'm hoping for today, in order to be able to hit that council agenda cycle and get approval to get work started on June 2nd, is a motion by this body approving Mike to work with the university to generate a contract for the remaining funds, to set a not to exceed number, that we approve the generation of the contract, and then I would anticipate that contract coming back to this committee for approval, final approval of that contract.
Contracts with PBAC in Moscow.
The contract will be between, PBAC and the city of Moscow. That's correct. Well, technically the university and the city of Moscow, because the university houses the funds for PBAC.
Yeah, funds are, PBAC does not have a bank account.
It's not technically an entity.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
By language, it's not, but it's just a couple of things. I know Mike's trying to run that to ground. I've stepped in also, and as is Lodi, we're actually trying to run that to ground sooner than later.
Okay.
It's because, no fault to Mike, he's had this process going for several weeks now, trying to get stuff going with our contracts and purchasing, so we're leaning in from a lot of different angles.
Yeah, and either way that it goes, we have precedent for this. We've done this before. We have some draft contracts. So I don't anticipate, we're not having to reinvent the wheel entirely. It's just going to kind of be depending on the mechanism that the UI Finance prefers. So there's detail in your agenda here, about, the project amount. And so the statement of work contract amount is $335,841. There's the 10% contingency of $35,841.10, which brings the total potential amount to $369,425.10. That amount could be reduced based on number of stakeholder visits. That's one thing that we did increase was stakeholder engagement visits, in-person visits. We felt like that was important. And so that is the maximum. That would be the not to exceed number. So when you take out the $182,500 that has been committed by the Water Resource Board, which is what we'll start to draw from first. So we'll run through those funds before we start to go to tap the PBAC funds. That makes the maximum PBAC obligation $186,925.10. And that's the amount that I'm hoping the committee will entertain today to authorize Mike to begin work with the not to exceed amount of that amount and work on getting a contract in place. And with that motion, the city leadership will feel comfortable moving forward and entering into the total contract amount on the task order with that understanding.
What was the PBAC contribution again?
$186,925.10.
Well, I don't know. if it was
187.
cents, But
Right, math is math. I'm gonna give you numbers if I've got them. So this would be the maximum. That includes a 10% contingency. And potentially, depending on how many in-person events we end up with. These things don't get smaller during the course.
Can I ask this, where's the contingency held? Does that stay with U of I PBAC, or is that do you want that and just whatever's left over returns back to?
Either way, as long as it's contractually obligated,
Okay.
it doesn't really matter. It can stay in U of I coffers. As long as it's obligated, then we'll be all right.
Okay.
okay, so you want, I'd just say so moved, but just to rehash, we want just an alignment check. If I were to move that we authorize feedback to not exceed, would we say, do we want to round up 186 and the 10 cents? This is PBAC's share of what we're saying. Yes, we'll do the thing with IDWR's grant for the city.
Yeah, I think
Whether it's the wrong direction.
the motion I think would be authorizing the PBAC executive director to enter into a contract with the city of Moscow, which technically becomes the University of Idaho entering a contract with the city of Moscow, not to exceed $187,000 for the purpose of the work on the Clearwater River study.
Yeah, that friendly amendment accepted. That's
Okay.
I moved that.
All right, we have a motion by Haley.
I'll second that ramble.
Second by Sean.
The 10 cents, yeah. Don't forget the 10 cents.
Any questions or discussion? All right, we'll go to a vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hey, that gives me goosebumps. That's a historic moment, you guys. This is gonna be cool. This is the most significant thing that's happened in this basin in decades, and we shouldn't lose track of that.
Scott's listening carefully, I'm sure.
Yeah, no pressure, Scott. Don't worry about it.
Oh, none here, not at all.
So yeah,
Thank you.
we're excited. This is gonna be really good. The Idaho Water Resource Board will be here in Moscow for their meetings later this month, and we've been asked to give them an update presentation, so we'll be meeting with them next Thursday.
Is it next Thursday?
Mhm.
It is.
Yep, it's already here.
The agenda, I don't know what time yet, because.
We haven't got a time
I haven't
yet.
seen it.
Yeah.
But it'll be sometime next Thursday, and then they'll also be meeting Friday.
I'll be gone, but I'll see if is the mayor. I'll just make sure you've got,
Yeah.
I know you really need some politician backup.
No,
on
it's that
one, but-
no, it makes a difference. It's good for them to see that our electeds are in support of this, Haley. So yeah, as we get details, I've let the mayor know, but we still don't have the agenda with the specific time. but we've got the date. So that'll be exciting. It'll be great to have this update to provide to them that we are getting documents in place and moving forward.
So we don't have a time yet with IDW.
No, we've got meeting block time, but we haven't been given our specific presentation time. I reached back out to Neely earlier today to see if he had any updates on that, and so I suspect.
Probably that Thursday, this is Friday's move.
Mm-hmm.
Which Thursday did you say that was?
Next Thursday.
22nd.
The 22nd?
Yeah, they have meetings on the 22nd, 23rd, but usually they have more of a working thing on the Friday, and so I'm suspecting we'll be, if I had to guess, usually we're mid-morning. On the Thursday is when we've been asked to present, so I would guess it'll be sometime between 9 and noon that we'll be in there. All right,
And the more the merrier in that case, as far as the fan club.
yeah, anybody who can come would be more than welcome. You know, they've been, the Water Resource Board has been amazingly supportive of the
Yeah.
work that we're doing. I think they're very happy to see us taking real action.
Good thing.
And so I think that they'll be pleased that we continue to take real action, and they've been an incredible partner for us. All right, moving on then to Budget Committee, Rusty.
All right, if you looked at the attached budget, you would see that we did spend some money. We had some expenses, I should say, not spend money. We had some expenses of the tune of about 100 to 104,000, and that's largely made up of, we transferred the resources out to Dr. Legman, which was about 90K, and then we had another 12K of expenses in outreach and going from here. And that's, I mean, that's all it's really to take note, knowing that the new $40 to $45 per hour, we'll start to see that as we understand when the new pay period that'll hit. We are burning through some capital. And so I just want us to be mindful as we think about the next fiscal year budget and the lanes that we want to create. And that's just a little extracurricular advice on there. But right now we're tracking really well.
Good. Any questions for Rusty on budget items? Thanks again for your help navigating everything, Rusty.
Oh, absolutely.
Very helpful.
Yeah, inevitably, Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Bring it.
Cause we're in budget season,
Mhm.
Pullman does a biannual budget.
On a calendar year.
God, I'm so jealous, to be honest.
Jeff, your thing's nice.
We don't know well enough. I guess I'm thinking in terms of budget planning and for the bigger conversation for when I go back and talk to council. And we're starting to talk about line item things. With us spending money and having expenses, should we be expecting a need right off the bat for this next budgetary cycle to allocate additional funds, or we're okay to stay the course while we're working through this IDWR thing?
Mhm. We have,
Groovy.
we have laid out, we've laid out the anticipated budget increases for PBAC, and so what's the number reflecting that we have a consistent ask this year from each of the entities, and the project that we just approved and Dr. Langman's projects were anticipated.
Great.
And so we have the funds for those.
Those kind of, I'll use a UI word that is, we intentionally wanted to spend down the war chest.
Oh, fair enough.
Because
Yep.
that was,
Yeah,
it built
allocated
up.
versus spent.
Cash on
Yeah.
hand was a little higher than most people were comfortable with.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
that was the intention with Dr. Langman, the IRW, am I saying that right? The IWRB,
Mhm.
those expenses and such. And I just think as we do our due diligence is to continue as new projects and new things become evolved, as we spend down the war chest, is to just be cognizant that we're starting to get into a frame of, hey, this is our annual allocation from the entities
If it's
and
not getting spent.
try, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
And
Okay.
So,
And I think our real focus has been going away from general basin research toward targeted basin research. And so we want to spend the money that we have toward a solution. That's what it's there for, and we want to get after it.
So, Haley, I think even at like the upper end of, like, if we spend the full amount on HDR and so on, a year from now, we will still have a little over a year's worth of money in our accounts.
So we're not about to commission this study and then be like, all right, Mike, you're out of a job because I don't have any money to pay you to do the thing from the
That's
study.
not my intent.
well, the financial plan lays out where we actually wouldn't get into that portion there.
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
so
Okay,
planning anymore, $100,000.
Our financial plan has operational contingency that
Okay.
we maintain.
yeah, just wanted to, I am mentally preparing for the other cuts. We're expecting to see things as we once again tighten our whatever, so. Great, thank you.
I think Scott had something he typed up. I didn't see what it was.
Patrick left.
Was there a comment?
I thought it was Scott had a comment or
Mike,
something.
we can't see the comment box. If you minimize that, oh, there we go. Go to the chat there.
I don't think I put anything in.
Oh, no, it was,
Oh, no, sorry.
Patrick. Okay.
Had the wrong one, but
So thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the budget? All right. Thanks, Rusty. Communication, Paul.
Yeah, we met yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
2 days.
2 days ago.
Two days, thank you.
Tuesday.
Just kind of circle back on getting prepped for HDR and their outreach and engagement plan. And so we have a number of documents already created that we have used in the past, so we'll hit the ground running with them once we get them under contract. So don't anticipate a lot of heavy lifting. I think we're gonna just really build up some message points early on about the project, accomplishments. I mean, PBAC, we'll kind of build out a list of message points for all of you, should you get questioned. So, but excited to work with HDR.
Wonderful. Yeah, it was a productive meeting. I think, yeah, we're ready to hit the ground running and give good direction and really build on the foundation of some good documents that we have. We've got we're not starting from zero with our communication and outreach, so that's good. All right, technical, I don't think we had a technical meeting. Jeff, we're kind of.
There wasn't anything pressing at this time, but we're trying to keep an ears open to how we can support water and other. So,
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah, it's gonna ramp up significantly over the course of the next several months as we get going. All right, other reports and announcements. I mentioned the Idaho Water Resource Board. I jumped the gun on that one, but we will have them in town. We will be giving a presentation, and yeah, we'll let everybody know as we get specifics on that. Any other reports or announcements that anyone has?
Irrigation.
Oh, yeah, do you wanna hit that, Sean?
Looking at weather reports, City of Moscow and City of Pullman kind of jointly coordinated efforts this year for like the first time. And
Awesome.
didn't have one jumping out ahead of the other declaring early. We both decided that we are not going to declare early. An outdoor irrigation season will start June 1st.
Yep, we're, the weather came through for us. Pullman has the benefit of their ordinance actually states that it will be June 1st unless otherwise declared. Ours just says we declare it. And so it's something that as we look at, especially as we get more data on their days of the week, if there's an update that we want to make, that's an aspect of that I really like. I think establishing that this is what it should be normally. And if there's an extreme year, we have some flexibility, but I think that's great because we just get hounded so hard. I'm sure you guys do too, but at least you've got that you've got that bulwark to.
We get
point to.
mostly neighbors turning in neighbors in May.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you turned it on too soon and.
Is that something you would want? Does the Idaho State Code prohibit us from standardizing it and?
No, we have the flexibility to add that to our ordinance. I think we'll be looking at as we go through with our water conservation plan update. One of the things we want to do is just have another season to look at the impacts of Pullman's days of the week, because right now it looks like it's paying some dividends and that was a good ordinance. And so getting some data behind that so that we have something to bring back to Moscow Council. So if we do make updates, we would rather just do an omnibus, bring it and say, hey, we're looking at these 3 updates versus just a couple. So anyway, yeah, that's positive. So yeah, the rain helped and the lower temperatures helped.
And it looks like some more this weekend.
Yeah.
As far as like that coordinating, has one affected the other, or is it more just in terms of a communication thing with communities who are like?
I think it's more of an alignment thing, like we'll end up, if we declare and they're not, then it's always that Moscow Pullman thing. Wait, we got the same environment. Why is one and why isn't the other? And so when we can have a united voice, then it helps us both.
Yeah.
And it might even allow us, if we did declare early, to do joint messaging together.
Or if we declare late. Do you have the option of declaring after June 1st?
I think I do.
Okay. Yeah, we've had one year, we almost made it to
snowed in
July.
June, yeah.
It was so wet. Yeah, we've had a couple years that went into June and one year almost to July before we opened it.
If you drive through campus and you see sprinklers going on, don't judge us too harshly. There's just a lot of it is being charged and we're bringing water to all the lines.
Yeah.
and blowing those
Okay.
out and
Well, and
sprinkler
Groundwater,
testing
so-
down.
well, we've got exemptions for certain of our parks, especially ball fields. They're built to
Yeah.
drain. That
Yep.
those are some of those places that we're really trying to train the community that these communal green spaces,
Communal.
especially fields that are built to drain, that give heavy spring use, that's the appropriate place if we're gonna use it, but not every single individual having a golf course in their front yard. All right.
It's just one hole.
Any other reports?
Talk about the next meeting, because it's on a holiday.
Oh, right.
Juneteenth,
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, anybody have anything else? Any
Yeah.
other reports?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Water Summit, we're looking late September, early October, looking at a couple keynotes. We're gonna start it earlier in the afternoon though, because again, we find that we lose people. It gets too late, so we'll start mid-afternoon, finish no later than maybe 6:30 or something like that.
I think it'll be great.
But we've got some great
I thought the
topics.
timing was good. I mean, you provide great,
The drink
you
tokens.
don't- you don't have to come hungry.
Yeah, wait, are there still gonna be drink tokens
Oh,
if we
yeah.
start earlier? Phew, okay.
Well,
Save water,
Drink late.
save water, drink beer, I'm there.
Sponsors continue down.
No water, no beer.
Uh-huh. We need that SEL.
But I don't use
sponsorship.
public funds for any of those adults. Damn. So coming together.
Exciting.
Is it
Yeah,
in September,
and we're
early November?
hoping to have a good update at that summit
Yeah.
about our project.
Definitely HDR will be on the menu.
Yep. Excellent. Great.
I did have one thing to add as well. I just wanted to thank the committee for, swooping in and saving my position. I really appreciate it. I know that outreach benefits PBAC, but it was not something that was able to become of my other AmeriCorps people, so I really appreciate it. And when I was talking with Mike, he was saying how some of the committee was interested in kind of trying to expand our outreach into Whitman County. So my goal is to, as it's always been, it's just a smaller pool of, availability, is to reach out to the public library in Pullman, hopefully to do some type of adult outreach there. And then at the stakeholder engagement, try to loop back in with the city of the Palouse and see if we can kind of continue some of those efforts that we started to bring outreach to the Palouse as well. And then maybe try to go back to the Discovery Center for some kid outreach. They were really interested in our well model. So, but the primary focus will be Latah County, but I just want to let everyone know that we are trying to get into Whitman County. It's just a little bit difficult because they don't have as much resources for it. So, but thank you very
And
much.
Aaron, oh yeah, I mean, that was an easy decision. I mean, I'm sorry we couldn't save more AmeriCorps people. And
If I
remind
may,
me, Pullman, I was gonna add that Pullman's library director,
Dan Owen.
Dan, left. But
He's
no,
got
is that
another
right?
week left.
So Aaron, you're gonna be chasing a new contact, but it's someone internal and I can't remember her name.
Probably Lori.
I think Lori got the job, so when you're ready and if you need help, like tap the PBAC folks and we can help get you to the right
I
person,
think
but.
Counselor Weller might have had something to add to that.
Yeah, actually, I'm helping out with a lot of that. Nothing is set in stone as far as who's going to be taking over.
Okay, I
And
couldn't
we're
remember who
going
the
through some reorganizations as well. So you can contact me. I really appreciate you trying to get into Whitman County. Yeah, our library is really good. I'm on the Palouse Discovery Science Center board. So of course, if you need any more help, but I know Mary loves working with you. So anyways, I will definitely keep you.
Great. Thank you, Counselor Weller. All right, those are all good.
If
And
I may
Aaron,
just-
thank you. That was a real easy vote. You're doing a great job and we really appreciate the work you're doing. Tom, you had something to add?
yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Erin was saying. I just wanted to thank her for her work as an AmeriCorps member. And as the organization that was placing AmeriCorps members in our area, including Erin's position, I want to apologize to all the AmeriCorps members. It's not easy being doged. It's also not very efficient being doged. So I think we're going to learn this is probably contributing to more costs for our government and not fewer costs for our government. So the whole thing's pretty awful, and I'm sorry for how it treated people in our area.
Anything else? All right, let's talk about the next meeting. Our next meeting is, would be slated for June 19th. As you all are aware, that is a holiday. It is a city of Moscow holiday. I believe it's the city of Pullman holiday as well. It's a federal holiday. I think all of us, many of us probably have that off. We have historically canceled the summer meeting. I guess I don't anticipate having anything really pressing, even if we get an answer back from U of I Finance with the motion that was made and approved today. I can move forward with the contract and get HDR started. And so at that point, there really isn't any sort of impetus for trying to accelerate the contract between the University of Idaho and the city. Because we have the $182,500 from the Water Resource Board that's already been approved that will start to draw down first. And so that contract won't need to be in place until we've actually drawn that number down. And so we won't have any sort of pressing items that I'm aware of at this point that I anticipate for that meeting. And we could always call a special meeting if needed. So I guess my proposal would be that we cancel the June meeting and look to the July meeting. But I'm open to any other ideas that anyone has.
Just my arm.
Gonna break some hearts.
What is it?
All right, I'd entertain a motion then for the cancellation of the June meeting.
Second.
All right, got a motion, I got a second. All those in favor of the cancellation of PBAC's June meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, we will reconvene formally in July unless something else comes up.
So just real quick for clarification, since I'm somewhat new to this, the meeting is always, this general meeting is always on the third Thursday.
That's right.
And I assume that the communications meeting is always on the third Tuesday unless the Wednesday or Thursday is the first or second of the month. So the communications meeting should always be the Tuesday before the Thursday.
Generally.
Generally, it's.
Mike likes to follow a lunar calendar sometimes.
Or are we talking like the Chinese calendar? Are we
Yeah.
talking the Russian calendar?
Not sure what he's smoking.
Is it-
Communication is the third Tuesday unless it gets changed. This time it got changed.
Right, no, and I'm just trying to figure, because most of my, I do a lot of scheduling, I have stuff scheduled in December right now.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
trying not to cover it up, and I'm just trying to figure out, you generally want that communications meeting to be the Tuesday before the regular meeting, correct?
Generally, yeah.
Idea.
That's typically what we shoot for.
Mike's good about it.
Correct.
So
It's
And that, it just kind of threw me off, and so I was trying to log on and get things covered the other day, but yeah. Yeah, I listened to it, it's just, it was a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, third
I
Tuesday
didn't schedule it.
generally,
I don't have
and we
anything
can
that day.
try and, for your sake, try to keep that a lot more consistent.
Yeah, no, and then like I said, I didn't even think about it until I saw, I'm like, oh, well, because the third Tuesday is actually after the third
Mhm.
Thursday. Right, and-
I see what you're, yeah.
But I think you worded it right the first time.
Yeah.
Third Tuesday unless
unless the first or second is a Wednesday or Thursday.
unless it would predate that, yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
we're ready to adjourn?
Yeah,
Hey, quick, and maybe Jake, is Jake still
over
here?
here.
Jake is here. Oh, there you are. Any update on the water summit, the governor's water
Or the
summit?
Boise one that's usually held in December.
But there was some
There
chatter
was some
about
chatter about potentially doing up north.
doing it up north.
No update at this point. though.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Do express, so we'd be very happy to do legwork to help with that and potentially co-locating it with our water summit.
Yeah.
Where we'd already have a captive audience, our electeds all come out for that generally, and so that could be a really easy cooperative effort that we'd be happy to help out with.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. Great. Anybody we want to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Do you need a second? Cause I'll second.
we can get out of here. Go. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, man,
I'm telling you, we back.
Excited meeting.
Back.
Are you going to Boise?
Wow, within a minute.
That's
Where's your scout?
I'm going to Salt Lake.
Thanks. We'll be.
My mom and my brother's birthday this weekend.
Nice.
Hey, your brother, hi.
Well,
How's he doing?
he's doing really well. His baby's so cute. Well, it'll be my first time meeting her.
What's that?
You get to go home now?
Yeah, but that just means I get to work on other stuff.
I want that,
April.
Oh, boy. Those people here, I want to get that Salt Lake.
Get all out of